Welcome once again to all our students joining this student gathering. And also, I would like to thank our panelists, our students. Indeed, some of them are graduates joining, providing the sharings to this student gathering sessions. So let me introduce myself. I'm Louisa Lau, the registrar of the Institute, and that today we have Eve Tong and also Alan Wong, as well as Hazel Im, who have a good performance in our June examinations, and then they will share their experience in how to prepare the CGQP examinations with our participants. Before we talk to the speakers, we may have some new students joining the Institute. So I would like to give you an overview of the Institute. So you know that in Hong Kong, we now call the Hong Kong Chartered Governance Institute, and that we also have an international body, the Chartered Governance Institute. So when you join these examinations and fulfill all the requirements to members, you got two qualifications. One is the international one, and as well as the local one. So in the past, we call basically, people know us as the charter secretaries, and that we formally call the ISSA in short. But we changed the name in November 2019, and we have more than 130 years of history. And all the membership is grouped and managed in 9 divisions with over 29,000 members and almost 10,000 students in 80 countries and jurisdictions. And we are an international professional qualification. And this qualifications is portable. The portability, that is, you can transfer your memberships from, for example, from Hong Kong. If you one day you have to work in Singapore, Malaysia, or that you migrate to Australia, or the UK, then you can transfer your Chartered Governance Institute memberships to the other divisions. And that about Hong Kong, we have the history since the 1949. We have the CGI members gathered in Hong Kong and have regular meetings. And then we become a local institute in 1994. And we have become the China division of CGI in 2005. And just very recently, we followed the international footstep, and then we changed the name as the Hong Kong Chartered Governance Institute. In short, we call the HKCGI. And with these changes, the most important features is that the changes will help the Institute and as well as our members to build up a new identity with better position in our important roles in governance, and that we cement our leadership in governance. And also, this will elevate our member status as the expert. This is very important that we all call ourselves expert in governance. We advise the board, and also we reinforce the institute's associations with governance, and that it also expand and enhance our careers for in governance roles, compliance, as well as like others in the risk management. And so we align the name change with all the other CGI divisions. So today, this is mainly what we'll do. And just a snapshot of the CGQP modules. So if you are a new student, just to remind you that we have, indeed, you have to complete 7 modules. But you see that part 1, we have 4 modules. In part 2, we have 4 as well. But for the ballroom dynamics and Hong Kong taxation, you just elect 1. You don't have to complete both of them. And the specific features of our Chartered Governance Qualifying Program, the CGQP, it was launched a very new module in 2020 January This is an internationally recognized program. And this examinations is alongside with other 5 CGI's divisions, including Canada, China, Malaysia, Singapore, as well as United Kingdom and Ireland. And that the special features of our examination is that we have the international perspective with local adaptation, and that we add more elements in compliance and risk focus. And that if you attend, for those students who have to attend like risk management, boardroom dynamics, as well as risk management, you will receive a pre-release case 6 weeks before your examinations. Then you can study the case information and prepare for the possible issues and questions that may arise from that case. And that most important of all, through this qualifying program to membership, you will achieve due qualifications, including the CGI as well as the HKCGI membership. So for these, just as a reminder, you have to complete these CGQP examinations within 6 years, but we give allowance for 4 years additional. So in maximum, you have to complete the 7 modules in 10 years. So we, from time to time, review our syllabus as well as a curriculum. So you have to get aware and that pay attention to the emails and our circulars, as well as the news updates in our emails website, because we will inform you if changes arise in the syllabus or the study materials. So I just give a last slide for you about the candidates' performance in this June 2021 examinations, and with the comparison of the last diet. So you see the chart, we have more entries in the November diet in comparing with the June diet. And this is a norm because usually in the June, more of our students working in whatever, in accounting, audit, or company secretarial, in ListCo, or providing services to their clients, they will be more busy. So they will more prefer to take the November examinations. And then the second one is that you can see the pass rates. And then you can see most of the modules in this June examination, the pass rate the performance is better than the first one. And this is, we gather that this is because we have the experience, and in last examination diet, we give a lot of information and comments to our students as well as the candidates, so they get awareness of the needs and those certain weaknesses of the candidates in the last diet, so they are well prepared and getting more familiar with this examination, so we have a better performance. So I will stop here, and that while we'll let our other graduates, I would say we have 2 graduates and 1 student, to share with you how they prepare the examinations and what tips they can share with you, so that you will give more. And then during the sharing, I will give some other whenever appropriate, I will give some statistics to you to support. That is what we have in the examination. So without further ado, I would like to prepare the sharing session. So with us, we have Eva. Now it's just become our graduate. She has the merit certificate awardees in Hong Kong taxation as well as strategic management. And also, I will just give short Alan Wong. He also got the module prize awardees in corporate secretariat and compliance, as well as interpreting financial and accounting information. And then the last and not the least, Hazel Yim. She got the module prize awardees in the module corporate governance. So without further ado, so we will have our speakers to share their information with you. So before we start, should I start with Eve? Let our
Hello.
speaker introduce themselves first.
Hello, my name is Eve. I'm now working as a company secretarial officer in a service provider. And my company provides service to both listed company and private company and offshore company. And I have just passed all the subject. And for the November 2020 diet, I took company law, corporate secretariat, corporate governance, and IFAI. And then for the June 2021, I took strategic management, risk management, and Hong Kong taxation. And luckily, I passed all the module. Yes, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Eve. I think we don't have luck because really have to study very hard. And then congratulations that you pass all the 7 modules within a year in 2 diets. Very excellent job. Well done. And then maybe ladies first. And Hazel, will you introduce yourself as well?
Hello, everyone. I'm Hazel. I'm now working in a local CPA firm. And after I graduated from University of Hong Kong, I with the degree of BBA, double major in accounting and finance, I joined one of the Big Four accounting firm, and I become a qualified CPA. And then now I move on to a local CPA firm. Because I'm already a qualified CPA, so I applied some exemption for yes, and I took corporate secretarialship last examination in November, and this time I took the corporate governance examination. Yes.
Okay, so let's our last speaker, Alan. We would like also to introduce yourself to our participants.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alan. My undergraduate is BBA, and after the graduation, I've been working as a company secretary for 4 years. And fortunately, in the recent diets, I have passed the IFIA and corporate secretariat and compliance. And now I'm graduate now, and in terms of my work, I currently working in an offshore law firm dealing with some offshore company, for example, BVI and Cayman Islands.
Okay, so all of our 3 speakers are very well done in the examinations. And so before we move on, I would like to know, or you share with our participants, so why you want to pursue this qualification to join the institute, wants to become a chartered secretary as well as a chartered governance professional. In particular, like Hazel, you're already a CPA, and I know you are an audit director of a local CPA firms. So what makes you want to further pursue to get this qualification?
It is because after I joined this local CPA firm, the firm also provides some company secretarial services to our clients. That's why it made me realize that it is important to also equip myself with the knowledge about the company secretary. So in case there is a client come to me and ask me for some questions, I can give he or her an all-rounded answer. Yes.
Okay, so that is that you will anticipate that with this qualification, it helps you to expand your professional knowledge and serve better your clients.
Yes.
Okay, and how about you, Eve? I understand that because you have to complete all the 7 modules, so you are I would say a non-business relevant degree. Yes. So what makes you to join this profession and to take the examinations?
I study social science in university, and actually before I joined, I work as a company secretary. I work in aviation industry for several years, and I just joined the industry for around 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I think governance profession is a profession that if your undergraduate is not a specific degree, like a general degree, for example, Bachelor of Art, or like me, Bachelor of Social Science, maybe you will be lost when you find jobs because you think that, oh, you don't have any qualification, or you are not a specified person. Therefore, I joined the industry as I think it is a professional job, and you can get the qualification no matter Hong Kong or international. So I think for the career development, this industry is very promising and industry that has prospect. Thank you.
Okay. So how about you, Alan? You have another learning perspective.
Yeah, I would say these qualifications provide very fundamental knowledge for you to deal with your daily work. And I want to add a point is that it provides very much confidence to both our clients and my employers to let them to know that actually we are capable of dealing with some corporate secretarial work and as well some basic accounting interpretation, so that confidence is a very reputation is also a very important part.
Yeah, because I understand that Alan, his undergraduate is a very relevant degree, and his studies, all the subjects are very tailor-made to our examinations syllabus, with a
Yes.
concentration in corporate governance and management. Okay, so with all these backgrounds, so we have various backgrounds. So how you prepare for your examinations? Then this time, maybe Alan, you talk about it first. How many subjects you have to sit for?
In a recent time, I sit for 2 subjects,
Yeah.
and I started to study both subjects maybe around 7 to 8 months before the
Okay.
examination. So in order to deal with 2 subjects at a time, I would design a timetable, a very clear timetable in order to cover all the syllabus of both subjects. And I would say the good point, the key points to attain a good result is to try to follow the schedule as tight as you can. If you fall behind your schedules, try to spend more time to chase the schedule so that you will be more confident before the examination.
Okay, so you are a very self-disciplined person.
Trying to
follow the
Yeah,
time schedule. Okay, so how about you, Hazel?
For me, I only took one examination, which is corporate governance this time. I spent around 100 hours to study, and normally I use my weekend like Saturday and Sunday to read through those online materials. And I also took 5 days of annual leave right before the examination to recite everything.
Okay, so this is a very general practice for participating external examinations. So before I talk to Eve, can I just ask you how you find the online study materials? Do you find it helpful to you for your study?
Yes, it is really helpful. Indeed, I just entirely rely on those materials to prepare for the examination. Okay.
So how about you, Eve? You took 4 subjects or 3 subjects for each diet. Yeah, for each
4
diet.
subject last time.
Yeah. With this large amount of studies, so how you prepare for your examinations or prepare for the study?
Because I did not study any relevant materials in my undergraduate, so I took all the Conuse-based preparatory course.
Okay.
Yes. So last diet I took 4 Hong Kong use-based course, and this diet I also took 3 Hong Kong use-based course. Actually, the course are very intensive because I sit for so many subjects at a time. So last time, to go to school after work, 3 nights in a weekend, and 1 day on Sunday. And I think the Conuse-based course is really effective if you did not study the relevant subject before, and if you are not a person who is very self-disciplined, or you would go through the online material by yourself and make yourself notes, because the Conuse-based lecturer will prepare their own notes for you, and explain the exam and also the course. So I think they are very effective. And for preparing the exam, I will divide into subject and talk about some point how I can pass the exam. I think the most difficult one is company law out of the 7 subjects, because it's entirely rely on your memory. You have to really memorize the case and the exact wordings of certain law. And you also have to understand why in this situation, this law will be applied, and you have to use this case to support your answer. And for the ComSec subject, I think the important point is to review the past paper, because ComSec for this subject, the scope is very, very wide. It covers listing rule, company ordinance, SFO. If you only look into the rules, you will get lost because there are too many and you cannot memorize all of them. So I think the main point is to review past paper, and you can find there are some patterns, like the exam, in the exam, there are some topics they would intend to design the question, some big topics. For example, AGM and like share buyback, disclosable transaction, connected transaction. These are some very big topics you must pay attention to. And for the IFAI, because it is a new subject, beforehand, it is divided into accounting and CFM, and now they merge together. And I think the main point is in IFAI, actually, the percentage of finance is more than accounting. For accounting, the main focus is in the calculation of ratio. And also you have to memorize some accounting standard. And the lab of them are mainly focused on finance, like you have to calculate WACC and net present value. So to study this subject, I think you do not need to know into very detail, like how to do debit credit, like doing accounting, but you have to focus more on the finance part. And for the corporate governance, I think the main point is to memorize the entire Appendix 14. If you are very familiar with the Appendix 14, basically you can answer 70% of the question. And for the Hong Kong taxation, I think the main point is to do the past paper. I did all the past paper from 2015 to 2020. And because taxation is a very technical subject, it involves many mathematics. Therefore, you cannot be lazy. You can just practice the past paper and to check the answer and find out what you have did wrong. I think taxation is a subject that you can improve your result a lot by doing past paper. And for the last 2 subjects, which is strategic management and risk management, because there will be case study released 6 weeks before the exam. Therefore, you have to really study in the case study, and you can review the past paper and design the question for yourself, and you answer those questions before you go into the examination. For example, for risk management, actually, it is a subject that the scope is very, very small, but your answer have to be very in-depth. Therefore, once you receive the case study, you can first think of what risk this company have, no matter it's existing risk or emerging risk, and what method the company can use to avoid or transfer those risks. And for strategic management, this is the same way. You have to review the case study very carefully and to apply those theory you learn in lesson into the case study. For example, the generic strategy and the strategic pathway, which is M&A, organic explanation. And once you think entirely how you can answer the case study and you design question and you answer yourself, I think you can get a do a better job in the exam. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for Eve's sharing a very detailed in each of the subject matter, and that we can see that she has spent a lot of her time and effort in the study as well as preparing for the examinations. So I think so. Any other sharing based on Eve's sharing? Do you have any other suggestions in preparation, in how preparing the exam in that means in your learning? Any other suggestion you can give, like Hazel or Alan? Any other things you want to add?
Maybe I can share about my experience in preparing for the corporate governance. First, I spend some of my time to read through all those online materials, and I will mark down those important points. And when I get back to all the material for the second times, then I will start to recite those important points. And I also want to mention that there are many case studies in the online materials. It is important and it is useful for us to read those cases because it will help you to get a better understanding about the concepts. But for me, I don't spend the time to recite or memorize those cases because it just help. I think those cases just help for your understanding, but it is not necessary to quote those cases in the examination. And also, for the examination, I think the 15 minutes reading time is very important because for part A, there is part A and part B, and for part B, you can choose 3 questions out of the 5 questions. So make sure you read all the questions and make sure that you really understand the questions and know what the questions are asking for. Then you can try to think of the points that you would like to put down in your answer. And once the examination starts, you can jot down those points that you have think of on the question paper. And then when you're answering the question, you can try to develop your flow and make sure that all the points are not missed. Yes, that's the 2 points I want to add on.
Okay, very detailed. Then you also have to give advice on how you prepare at the examination center.
Yes.
Yeah. So how about you, Alan?
Maybe I can share one more point for the corporate secretariatship and compliance, particularly for this subject, because this is one of the most difficult subjects in the whole examination. I would recommend students to read the company secretary handbook written by Francis, because that handbook is very, very accurate and very, very detailed in describing all the procedures and the legal basis for each company secretarial practice. This is a very good book, especially for the students who don't really have much time to study all the study pack provided by the HKCGI. So I would say that book is a good supplementary for students to study.
Yeah, because I think that the company secretarial practice, the handbook with the 3 authors that we have been used for almost more than how many years, and that this is a good guide for procedures, because the subject matters. First is that you need to understand certain legal base that is based on the company law, and then you apply the company law. It is the compliance, because you have to follow process and procedures, a lot of days and time documents, as well as that you need to do some like advice to your senior or your clients or your directors, and that it also look into certain communication skills in our new syllabus. It has certain communication skills being tested. So when we have talking about, because we can hear from our graduates and students, they spend time over, like Hazel should spend more than 100 hours to prepare, and that Alan for 7 months, and then you have a time schedule. And I think if, apart from your work and some daily lives boundaries, you spend all your time going to study.
Yes.
And so all your hard works pay off. And then just now Hazel have touched on at the examination center. So she will advise that study make the best use of that 15 minutes to know what's the question is asking you. So how about you, if with the 7 modules in 2 diets, so how when you enter into the examination center, how you prepare to set your tactics, we'll set the tactics to answer the questions?
I think there are 2 important tactics. The first one is to choosing the right question. And you have to really utilize the 15 minutes reading time. And you have to look through all the questions. And because I understand most of the candidates, like me, will not study all of the study pack, the scope of the study pack. Maybe you study 80%. Therefore, when you see there are questions you are not familiar, you can just ignore it. And then you have to look really in depth in the question, even though the question are asking some topic you are familiar, but you have to check the details of the question. For example, in the risk management exam, there is a question asking corporate social responsibility. If you just hear this topic, you will think, oh, this is very easy. This is a big topic and I can choose this question. But in the recent risk management exam, the CSR one is not very easy, because it requires you to think of the CSR action that the company can do, and in the CSR perspective, what did the company do well and do not so well. Therefore, it requires you to think of many things in a very short time. Therefore, I think you have to really choose the right question. And the second tactics is time management. Because for the first part 1 of the exam, concept, company law, and CG, there are part A and part B. And part A will have 5 short questions, and part B will have 3. You have to answer 3 long questions. And I think for part A, you have to limit yourself to answer it within 15 to 30 minutes. And for the long question, you have to limit yourself. You must move on to the next question after 45 minutes. Because many candidates, they will always focus in the first question, first long question. Maybe they spend an hour or 1 hour and 15 minutes. And at the end, when they answer the last long question, there are just 15 to 20 minutes left. If you cannot control your time accurately, even though you answer very well in the first long question and maybe attain 20 marks out of 25, but if your last question, because you do not have enough time, you can just attain 5 or 10 marks, it is very hard for you to get a pass. So my suggestion is you have to set time for every question. And even though you cannot finish everything in 45 minutes for question 1, you just left a blank page in the answer page, and then you move on to the next question. So after you finish all the 3 questions, if you have time, you just come back and write the conclusion. It will be better for you to just work on 1 question and forget others. Thank you.
Okay, this is a very good tactic, and this is the strategy to tackle the examinations. So how about you, Alan? Because you have to sit for 3 modules, and then do you agree with Eve, or that you have some other tactics that you find is good to share?
It's true that the 15 minutes reading time is very, very important. I would recommend students not to just read the question, but to try to brainstorm the answer in their mind. and try to guess, maybe try to estimate how many marks you can get for each question, and then by the time you can evaluate which is the best question, you may choose. And once you are able to write down the answer, try to jot down the answer in 2 to 3 words. This is the good thing for that is that you will not miss the answer, and by the time you write, actually your brain will just give you more and more ideas which might able to help you to give you the maximize the mark for each question.
Okay, so we hear our 3 speakers sharing on their preparation for the examinations, and then entering at the exam center. So before writing down, reading time, and then think of the by default which questions you think you are more familiar, you know well, and exactly you know what the questions is asking for. So give me some time, then I will share some of I have a little summary of the examiners' comments in general of the this year's papers. So let me see. Yes. So can you hear? Sorry, not this one. Yes. Here. I think this reflects most of our speakers sharing. First is that for the examiners in general, for the 8 modules, we find that most of the candidates cannot fully cover the syllabus. 80%, just like if it's good, but you just pick 4 or 5 subject area, then you cannot cover the more fully. And then just on the certain hot topics. And I think one is which reflects Eva's sharing is that they cannot apply the theories on concepts when writing their answers. That is exactly what about this risk management methods. Because yes, CSR, we have CSR just for example. We have CSR in corporate governance. We have CSR in risk management. We have this even in our CSC or even in the boardroom dynamics. But each of these subjects, when tested, it will be different, just like in the risk management mentioned by Eve, is that you need not just look about the listing requirements, but how to apply in your own organization. So that's why you have to look into, have you done it correctly? What are the defects, any defects in that company? And then if you want to make it right, what is your advice to your board? So you need to analyze and bring this. So analyzing these, the facts in the case is very important. So this is just for example. And then the second one is that reading the examination questions. So 3 of you also mentioned this. Most of them cannot identify the issues being asked, just like Eve just said, the CSR. Seemingly, we know CSR, but what is being asked? And this being asked, not just the subject matter, but also the way, because we talk about communications, the way how to present your answer. So usually, these questions will ask you their instructions and requirements that you need to write a report, write a memorandum, write a policy, and then to submit to your board of directors or your CEO or your chairman. So this format in your answer will give you marks. In the first diet, most of our candidates ignore this, and then they lose marks. And because if you have 3 to 4 questions asking you about this, say 1 mark, 2 marks, if 4 questions, that means 8 marks. This 8 marks is easy to earn. And so when you write the questions, do not just write what you know, but answer the questions. What's the examiner's is asking for. And the final one is that just like Hazel, she mentioned about that there are a lot of case studies in the study outline. This provide examples. When you apply, or just like Eve said that, for example, the appendix 14 will help you a lot. But when using this appendix 14, they are the scenario case or non-scenario case. You can use these practical examples to support your answer, not just by a rule or just quote a few lines from the code. So all this is that we find that these are, in particular, this diet, the examiners give certain weaknesses which appeared in the examination. So I think this is good for our participants of this gathering or in future that you read the examiner's report and referring their comments to the question, so you know that what is the weaknesses may appear in your answers. So this is one area. And then another area I want to share with you is that we find certain subjects matters if you have the relevant working experience. Because you know more about this, it may help you to pass the examinations. For example, if our candidate is working in the CSC/CG, that means company secretaryship, compliance, or the corporate governance job area, just like three of you. When they pass the boardroom dynamics, the company secretarial practice in particular, they get better results, and as well as the strategic management. But whereas if like the CG, the risk management, where they have a higher scope, not just focus on certain technicality with more business and management sense, they can perform better in this area, like the corporate governance or the risk management. And so we will just advise that if our candidates, when they study these subject matters, just like our three speakers, plan for your time, look and read more of expand your readings, just like the CS read Miss Dan Bowa, Francis Yun and Anna Sum's book, or that read some of for the listing rules matters, like for your corporate governance, company secretarial practice, or risk management, or boardroom dynamics. From time to time, read some of those good annual report and listing decisions. They give you examples of what are the wrongdoings, so that you know that you can give your advice. And then another area is that we also look into the academic qualifications. Does it relate to the passing rate? Yes, in certain ways, yes. But not exactly. A lot of our candidates, like if boardroom dynamics, if you are in a more of a with good corporate sense, the non-relevant degrees holders, they perform very well. Whereas the CG, if you are accounting and finance, the CS, they also perform well. Company law, because for these they have a certain prior study, and I think more of these will be in the auditing or corporate services area, so they can also perform well. And whereas Hong Kong taxation, IFAI, because quite a number of our students, and even the strategic management, for the non-relevant degree like if they do not have exemptions, they have to sit for that examinations, sit for these modules. But hard working pay off, just like if they can also pass in a very high percentage. So in conclusion, we find that either you are working in relevant working environments, or that you are not in a relevant study background, you can still get a pass. But take the advice from our speakers. Get your time planned, self-management. and then look into the subject matters, have a fair general understanding of that subject matter. And then you can build up, because there are some of those subjects like the company law is a foundation to build up your CG and CS materials. And this CG and CS is to help you to build up your risk management and the boardroom dynamics. Of course, the IFAI, in these days, we do not just ask you to do calculations. You need to, that subjects is called interpreting accounting and financial information. So interpretation. So you do some calculations, and then you have to explain what these figures means in your case or in your subject matter. And for taxation, most students can do well because they follow EVE pattern, do more of the past papers. But in our new CGQP exam requirements, we also require you to have some principal theory base. So most students get, if you just do the calculation, a mere pass. But if you want to secure your pass, you need to look into certain taxations theories, and also look into the explanations. So after doing calculations, we need to know what you understand. So I think these are all we can reflect what our speakers presents to you with the actual performance. So although we have 3 speakers sharing with you how they prepare, but these statistics also support their speaking. And so after this, about so referring to our speakers, any other suggestions that you think that when you look into these statistics, anything you think that you can add to our participants to give advice to them? Or if not, what like I know Hazel is going to speak. So when you study for the corporate governance, do you enjoy that subject matter? Do you find it helpful in your job?
Yes, I find it very helpful in my job because, as I mentioned before, my firm also provide ComStat services to my client. So when I can apply what I learned from those online material into my real life job. To add on to what you have just shared, I want to share that I think that it is really it really helps if you are working in a relevant field, because you can have some on-job training from your firm, and it will help you to, it is definitely easier for you to understand the concept when you are reading the materials. If you did not apply those courses like EVA, if you just self-study, then if you are working in a relevant field, it will be important for you to understand the concept. Besides, because for the current examination, there is part A and part B, and both are questions, and you have to write down short questions and long questions. So if you are used to writing reports or essay or memo during your work, then you definitely can perform better during the examination.
So before we complete, I think I have the last things is when you prepare your exam, how to prepare. Remember what are being tested, read the syllabus, and then it gives you sections, and check the examination paper structure. So when you read the questions, the time, then it helps you to give the time allocations. So how many marks will be allocated. And then if you have not yet registered your online study materials, please do, because all the exam questions will be set in this materials. It won't out of syllabus. So your study plan, it reflects to our speakers. Organize your time and space like Hazel, mostly on Saturday and Sunday. And then look into your learning style, like if she prepare her own notes. not just memorize. And with some, we call the cheat sheet, just some keywords. And you need to get familiar with the study materials, past papers, mark schemes, because that is the answers, the areas you have to give, and the examiner's report, because they give you comments. So you have to prepare, and then like the technique workshops or the certain requirements, and then you apply the knowledge and skills in tackling those pilot papers or past papers. Even after you finish your study, take out 1 or 2 questions, just give some bullet points on your own, and then you can mark check with the suggest answers or the mark schemes given in our pilot papers or the past papers. Time management, very important. Don't lose marks. Just don't spend all time in one questions. And so for release cases, for those 3 modules, take advice from Eve. Study them and that give yourself estimation what will be asked. And you can analyze that case, the facts, the characters, what are the issues, problems that may arise. So if you know about your pals, just form study groups and then stay motivated and update and read more, get aware of our notices from the bulletin board or the website or our emails sent to you. So think positive. You can do it. Everybody can do it. And we have all these learning support, and our journals, CSJ's bulletin boards is very important. And get yourself be familiar with and that talk to more of your pals or even people working in this fields. And that if you have new issues, then you know that how to tackle it. We always have new rules and new laws. So these are the latest updates, and so you can chat with it, and then we have some past videos for you to go through. So I will just leave the final minutes to our 3 speakers. Any things you want to add to our participants today? No more? Okay, then thank you very much. And then we thanks Hazel, Eve, and Alan for all your advices and your tips in how to prepare and how to tackle questions at the examination center. And I hope in future we can meet in physical mode, and then we can share more with each other. Thank you very much. And then I would like to thank all the participants today joining us, and then good luck to all your examinations, and then have a good day, and that have a prospective work environment. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye-bye.